What even is a bunion? And just because grandma has one does not mean that you need to. And please do not go buy devices like these expecting it's going to resolve all of your issues. Bunions are a bony deformity that occurs at the base of your big toe joint. The big toe deviates towards that second toe, giving you that prominent bump on the inner side of that big toe. But I have great news. While yes, there may be a genetic predisposition increasing your risk for bunions, 99% of them are actually preventable. And there are simple things that you can do today to avoid that structural damage in those granny feet. So follow along with not only these exercises, but lifestyle changes to truly heal those bunions. The very first thing that I would recommend you to get if you have bunions is some toe spacers. There's toe spacers that have all the toes, and there's also toe spacers that are just the singular between the first and second toe. So I'd recommend toe spacers just at the end of the day, maybe after a hard work day, just getting exposure into those feet, because what it's doing is it's splaying our toes. It's trying to stretch our toes out and stretch those inside muscles and the joints that cause that restriction of those toes coming in. So it's not only the big toe that we're benefiting, it's the entire base of all of our toes. And I'll explain why that matters and why that function of having our toe extension is important. I have tried all the toe spacers out there, the cheap ones off Amazon, the expensive correct toes, and what I found is my favorite brand, the Spacer Mobility or the Toe Spacer. Love them so much, I even reached out to them and said, I gotta work with you guys. And so if you use Dr. Jenny PT, this gives you the best deals and saves you some money and gets you some good toe spacers. I also like these because they have 4 or 5 loop options. The 5 loop is gonna pull that toe in. The 4 loop is gonna keep that pinky toe out so it doesn't get pulled in when we have those restricted of that 5th toe. So it really just kind of depends on your presentation and which one might be best for you, but I would recommend the toe spacer. So with this manual toe stretch, what we're doing is we're just pulling pretty much the base of our metatarsals, pulling them outwards to give us a stretch in between these muscles that cause that deviation of that big toe inwards. A great time to do this would be after wearing some confining shoes that really shove our toes in, so maybe some high heels or work boots, something like that we can get out of them and increase that toe splay immediately afterwards is important. So it's okay if you want to wear those small, confining, aesthetic looking shoes, but what you do out of them really matters. For this next exercise, it's going to be using a lacrosse ball and it's stretching our big toe. To understand the big toe and how it works when we're walking, so when we take a step, we are supposed to be able to propel our body over an extended toe. As that foot deviates inward, we lose big toe extension. What happens now is when you take a step and you can't bring your body over that foot, what happens is now we start rotating at the hip to clear that big toe because you can't go over it like here. So what you do is you externally rotate to the hip. This is what creates lots of tightness in our lateral musculature, into the glutes, to all these muscles, because then you walk and you start to get to this kind of walking where you're stepping and your foot are coming outwards because you cannot extend over that big toe. So this is how you can see a lot of relationships between the feet and the hip and how a cascade of problems can occur up the kinetic chain just from things at the feet. So for this exercise, we're gonna use a lacrosse ball. All we're doing is we're putting that right underneath our big toe, and then we're gonna step out in front of us to get a stretch along that big toe. If you have a more advanced bunion, you might actually get a little bit of pain inside the toe, at the top of the toe up through in here. If you have that problem, leave a comment down below because we got some more advanced exercises and mobilizations we need to do before we go and do these kind of things. So really depends on where you are within your bunion pathway, whether it's really advanced, whether it's actually just starting out, or you're just looking for some prevention. Doing these kind of things can really help stretch the bottom of that big toe and get that big toe extension, because that's what we need when we walk. So now let's strengthen our big toe. We did all the stretching, the mobility, getting that toe splay. Now it's time to strengthen them. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get a light resistance band. We're gonna put it right between our second and big toe on both sides. From there, we're gonna take a little step out, give a little bit more of a stretch across those bunions. Then what we're doing is we're just gonna lift our big toes up in the air. We're gonna leave our little toes down on the ground and we're just lifting those big toes up into the air. Give a nice 3 to 5 second hold, then bring it back down, reset again, you're lifting up. So when you're doing this, you really have to have the intrinsic muscle of our feet actually working, so we have those opposite toes on the ground and we just have those big toes coming up. So it's not an easy thing to do. This might be something that you're watching me right now and you're like, I can't even do this. I can't do this. And that is totally normal. It's something that takes time. It takes consistency, it takes practice. So I would actually start out doing this seating, and then you can go to a standing. But here's the beauty of never doing toe and foot exercises. You put a little bit of effort in, you see incredible results because you're not doing anything. Now we can't forget about strengthening the toe in the opposite direction. So we did extending as we're coming up. Now we're gonna do toe flexion. So the way I like to do this, still using that same band, I like to wrap it around my big toe first, and then we go and we bring it around our knee. So you wanna make sure when you're doing this that the band is nice and flat. It's not rolled up, it's nice and flat, so we get that entire big toe working and not just the end of it, okay? So pulling that band all the way up, put that on our knee, kind of hold the band, make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Now we're doing the exact same thing, we're going the opposite way. So we're just gonna push that big toe down to the ground, and then we lift it back up, give it a nice stretch to that big toe on the bottom, push it down to the ground. Again, this is one that is going to take a lot of intention, a lot of concentration, because that's what we're doing, is we're rewiring motor programs in our brain to strengthen muscles that might be weak. Hold down toes if you need to. So hold down your opposite toes and just push with that. Maybe give a little bit of assistance, push down with that toe. Use your body and your biofeedback to give something to your brain to say, hey, we're gonna move these things, because that's all we're doing here. And we can add a little bit of variations to this. So when we're doing this, we could pull a little bit more to the side so we're getting that toe to come down and across. That one is definitely not an easy one. That one for sure will take time. Even though it's hard for me and I've been practicing this stuff for a really long time, but it gives you a little good cue as you're coming down to push down and away a little bit rather than straight down to the ground. You could also do it the opposite direction, challenge it this way, so you're getting a stretch as we're having to pull down to the ground. That one helps you a little bit and get your mind orientation of where your toe should actually be when you're doing these kind of push downs. So you could do 5 here, 5 here, 5 over there. Play around with the different variations and your mind muscle connection to your toes. For our last strengthening exercise, still involving our band here. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna place it on one of our ankles. The opposite one is gonna go inside that big toe again, okay? Now what we're doing from here is we're gonna do a little step out. So we're gonna Elvis on that opposite side. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch that glute medius video. But we're getting that tripod position with our feet plus that big toe, get that entire kinetic chain working. We're gonna maintain this leg as we just step out and across, okay? Step out and across, then bring it back. Step out and across, then bring it back. Every single step, you are lifting, then pushing that toe down to the ground. With bunions, it's all about finding exercises that we can get that toe in the proper position, then make you work through it. Then after we do about 6 to 10 reps of this one, we're gonna go the opposite way. So now we keep that toe down, or bring it out to the side. You're driving that big toe down to the ground the entire time. If you do not have that big toe, what you're gonna see is the whole band move and break. You can go in all different directions. You can go back, you can go across. We're just trying to really practice that big toe. You can even play around and do some hip marches, keeping that big toe down. So there's so many things that you can do to get pretty creative with bunion and toe strengthening exercises, because that's what you're gonna find is the coolest thing about this is as you're doing these little tiny toe exercises, you're gonna notice your balance is gonna improve, you're gonna notice that reactive strength is gonna improve. Maybe even things when you're working out, you have better engagement with your legs. So I really would advise you take your shoes off when you're lifting. Practice these things. If you're already doing strengthening exercises, now you need to apply it to your workouts in everyday life. Don't just spend time doing these tiny little exercises, 15, 20 minutes a day. Take these exercises and now apply it into your everyday life. So the last thing we're gonna talk about is more of a lifestyle change. The last thing that we wanna do is after doing all these good exercises that help that toe splay, strengthening those toes, is go shove our feet in some narrow toe box shoes that smash our toes together and reverse everything we just worked on. So what I would recommend is getting a wide toe box shoes that allows your toes to splay. Again, you don't have to get rid of those stylish shoes. It's just having an additional shoe wear that maybe you have on your walks outside or during work or when you're working out. So having a wide toe box shoe that allows those toe to splay is also going to decrease the worsening of your bunions. These shoes are New Norm shoes. They are a sister company of the Toe Spacer company that I work with. They're very similar to Vivo's, but just a little bit different. But the main thing you're looking for when you have a wide toe box shoes is the width of the shoe. It's gonna be the heel of inclination. We don't wanna make sure we have a huge heel that starts to decrease as we go along with that big toe. And lastly, we wanna be able to flexibly move that shoe. If we have really rigid shoes, that toe isn't gonna be communicating and talking to your brain. So go get yourself a pair of wide toe box shoes. If you don't want to get these ones, I would also recommend Ultras. Ultras are probably my favorite ones, either the Solstices or the Escalantes. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to implement all these exercises and lifestyle changes to truly heal those bunions and not rely on surgery and those silly little devices. Stay tuned because I am releasing a foot program here in the next couple months. Doesn't matter if you have high arch feet, you have flat pronated feet. It's called a foot reset and it is for everyone. So make sure you subscribe, leave a big ol' like if this video helped you, and comment down below if you're hyped for that foot program like I am. I will see you guys in the next one.